welcome, everyone, to another adventure into reality. Today is going to be a call-in show for those that are willing to call in and wanting to talk. Come on in and talk. There is a way for you to come in via computer worldwide or a direct telephone number also. So before we take our first caller, we're going to talk about what a promise is, what your word means. 100 years ago, your word meant your honor, and it bound you to certain things. And today, law has replaced what true words mean. When a person gives you their word saying they're going to do X, X, or X, and that word isn't followed through, you lose trust. And once you've lost trust, what is left? How does one work with another? How does one feel with another? Law is this intermediary. Humans need to learn to return to trusting themselves, trusting others, and allowing trust, even broken trust, to be healed. A lot of callers that call in have trauma from early ages in their life, which creates mistrust, programs within themselves that change the greater good of who they are. Then there are those who are incredible at different things, yet are never on time, are never capable of doing what they say for their own personal lives, but are capable of doing it for everyone else. I'm sure many of you know that so those that do for others but can't do for themselves. So many callers reflect that. So many callers reflect an unhealed aspect of themselves. Many of them thinking they've done the work, when in fact they discover not only have they not done their work, that the majority of the work that they have done previously were baby steps until they took the bigger step of consciousness, conscious application of the sacred, doing ceremonies in such a way that they bring potency and vitality to your current frequency. So many times we hear this term, raise your frequency, raise your vibration, come on into the frequency. Well, to get there means the work, the great work on yourself. So many callers are looking to do the great work. And to be able to do that great work, one must follow through with their word to themselves and the word they give to nature and the word that they give to others. I'm going to put out a word there for you. Impeccability. Contemplate and comprehend impeccability with honor combined into one. A little 2-year-old baby is not in a state where its word can do anything other than ooh, ah. Maybe a few words here or there. But an adult at 20, an adult at 30 or 40, when you make a promise to yourself and you break it, what are your consequences? When you break a promise to another, you break that, what are those consequences? There are jobs out there, let's say you're in the nursing industry, and a patient dies. Do you say, I'm not responsible if you were the one overseeing that patient or if you were that doctor? Another one is in the law field. If you are representing someone in their divorce or representing somebody in their great case that's going to make or break them, and you don't follow through with your word and do the greatest work that you can do, you've just stolen their money, stolen their time, stolen their dream, because you couldn't hold your word. So many people know these references, know these concepts that are out there. They see it every day, whether it's the homeless man down the street that says, yes, today's the day I'm not going to be homeless, and a year later he's still homeless. Yes, this is the day I'm going to start exercising, and a year later you're not. Yes, this is the day I'm going to start my sacred practice, and a year later on December 21st, you want to have a session with me to prove you do something once a year. Now I put that forth as a teaching. What does your word mean? What do your promises mean? And what are the difference between your words and your promises to yourself, to others? And what are the consequences to the self or to others when those words are broken? The next part of this statement here is, there are times we must break our word to claim our power back. because our word has been used against us in every dimension, time stream, galaxy, and universe, and it is now abusing our word, keeping us locked into zealotry, because we will not break our solemn oath to someone else who ultimately will not give back an equal co-creation. So, Robert, let's bring in the first caller. Talk about truth, consequences, promises, and all of those things in between.
Okie doke. Our first caller will be from Richmond, Virginia.
The Richmond, Virginia. Your name? Richmond, Virginia. Are you there? Hello, Richmond, Virginia. Either they are muted or they are away from their phone. That person made a promise. I'm going to get on the show today. And then they had to run to the bathroom or something. Robert, let's come back to Richmond. Let's move on to the next caller.
Okie doke. Our next caller will be Johannes.
Hello.
Johannes, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, game. And your name is Johanna?
Yeah, my name's Johannes. I'm calling from Germany. Hello.
Welcome. So what did you want to talk about today?
Well, I'm actually not quite sure, but I experienced like a weird shaking and shivering while waiting here, and I had the same thing going on last week when we had to cancel the show, when we had those technical issues. And I was wondering what this is, because my whole body is shaking, and there's no way that I can stop it. And maybe
so is it a cold shaking?
Yeah. It's a cold shaking, and my whole body
so that's
is
called
shivering.
What that's called is pathogenic cold. That means you are experiencing super high frequency that you probably haven't experienced in a very long time, and it's moving very dense energy out of you. So it's not just me that's a high frequency. It's all the callers that are waiting, all the callers of the past, present, and the future. And you're like a barometer right now, feeling the pressure. And when this applies to anyone else out there that feels this term, pathogenic cold, intense cold shivering through their body, that is energy moving through you. Now, that energy that I'm sensing through him is his energy itself that is normally stagnant, is now moving. In other cases, it can mean a presence of an entity or manipulation, but it doesn't always mean that. At other times, it means intense detoxification is going on in your body. This is the pure alchemy. Opposite of pathogenic cold is extreme pathogenic warmth. Pathogenic warmth is often when the body's in full regenesis.
Okay, thank you. Because it really at the beginning it felt strange, but now it's feeling more and more good. So what you said with releasing like stagnant energy, it's really
what I do with a lot of callers is I do this repeat after me process. It's called I am presence training. And what I do is I scan you from each word and word to say. And what I think you need to do is raise part of your frequency. So just kind of repeat after me. I, in this ever-present moment.
I, in this ever-present moment.
Choose to acknowledge the motion of energy.
Sorry, what was that?
Choose to acknowledge the motion of energy.
Choose to acknowledge the motion of energy.
That is creating cold within me.
That is creating cold within me.
A shivering process.
A shivering process.
This is my core muscles.
This is my core muscles.
My core frequency.
My core frequency.
Unraveling the pressure.
Unraveling the pressure.
So I may return to my natural pressure.
So I may return to my natural pressure.
A warm body, full in flow.
In warm body, full in flow.
Without a restriction to my energy.
Without a restriction to my energy.
This is my choice in the now.
This is my choice in the now.
I reconnect to my heart frequency,
I reconnect to my heart frequency,
which is a key part of this cold process.
which is a key part of this cold process.
I bring my consciousness into my heart blood.
I bring my consciousness into my heart blood.
And every cell that flows through my heart,
And every cell that flows through my heart,
I bring warmth and light.
I bring warmth and light.
To every blood cell through the heart.
To every blood cell through the heart.
And I circulate it to my entire being.
I circulate it to my entire being.
I let down the pressure gauges.
I let down the pressure gauges.
I turn off the need to control.
I turn off the need to control.
And allow myself to be natural.
And allow myself to be natural.
As a being of the now.
As a being of the now.
Oh. How did you feel that?
Yeah, it feels it feels, yeah, there were it feels good, and there were some things that you were saying that
It's helped you out.
made me realize some things. And,
yeah. So sometimes our pressure is our own energy and our own restrictions that we have. And when we're experiencing pathogenic cold, that's actually positive and negative alchemy. It's when the mind is enforcing pressure and restriction or anxiety versus an opening of heart space. So in any situation, this goes to all the listeners out there. If you find yourself in this term pathogenic cold, which is intense cold shivering, even on a warm day, and it's not the natural energy, that is your energy that has been in extreme stagnation that's starting to move, much like a glacier that's beginning to melt. That's that motion, that tingling, that thing that's about to flow water. And we need to increase our core warmth through our heart consciousness, our heart space awareness. So the wholeness of our body gets the synaptic command to bring energy into motion. This is connecting to our biomagnetic frequency, to the conscious being within. So what other kind of questions did you want to ask today?
I was fascinated to speak with you. It's a pleasure. And so what yeah, what I'm wanted to know for so long is I mean, it's those classic questions is where do I come from? It's like I have no real distinct feeling of who I am and where I come from, and this is, yeah, it's really
I'll be bluntly honest. Do you really need to know who you were before this lifetime? Does it really impact your life? There are those that have had dreams since they were early or memories since they were early. Have you had those snippets of something you can't connect to?
snippets of some. I mean, I have some childhood memories where I'm not sure if I saw an UFO, and I always was interested in this topic.
Mm-hmm.
And
so what did you think you saw as a child?
It was when I was with my cousin going to the lake, and we were building boats and letting them swim there, and then I have this this one image of a huge gray roundish shaped flying object over the forest there, but just this, and I can't remember if we really saw this, because we had some it feels like some memories from there, like timestamps are missing from there.
Let me help you out. You did see it, but ultimately you can't remember it because the memories have been faded out in you. You were actually taken up into that ship. Nothing negative was done to you, though you were scanned, your DNA was cataloged, and they did give you a form of a positive vaccination. There are good species and bad species manipulating the genetic experiment up here. Some look for specific souls and specific DNA lineages, and others are scanning the wholeness of all life, from dog to cat, whale to human, for specific signature frequency souls, and they vaccinate them against extremely negative type energies that are not physically broadcast with technology, but a spiritual broadcast, a part of domination and control. And you were given one of these vaccines because it was understood at a later date your personal, independent, natural awakening would have a very significant impact on the unseen world's ability to exchange energy with you. You'll as your awakening grows and your personal choice to understand what consciousness and spirituality is, that you started as a fetus in the womb, and that's where your original dream stream of I am presence began. And as you begin to learn to have somewhat of a companionship and a relationship through the meditative process as the fetus in the womb, you'll understand why you contracted this UFO experience to be vaccinated, so that the first 20 plus years of your life would be yours and yours alone. And then the next stage, when the greater evolution of humankind is on the line, humans who are not zealots and martyrs will step forth in their own truth, present their own subject matter, and lead people away from the global infrastructure of distraction and back into a natural way of living this that does use technology, that doesn't put us back in the Stone Age, that doesn't put monks in the mountain with followers everywhere. We need to use what is here. And you will be one of those beings who become a master of using what's around you to make sacred once again, learning new concepts and ideologies.
That leads me to my next question. Is I'm interested in so many things, and I know I have quite a few talents in in many fields, and but I sometimes it's so vast that I don't know where to start, and where's really where my profession and what's mine to be done, and what should be done by others, because it's okay, there's already an expert or professional in this topic, so I don't need to investigate time into it, and I'm seeing this more and more, things I got interested in a few years ago but didn't follow it, and then now I'm seeing people on the internet and they found it also and made something out of it, and I said, okay.
So what are you educated in?
So I'm I can everything that I'm interested, I can learn it very quick. And what do you mean, like general education, or what I educated myself?
Give a synopsis of what you've educated yourself, went to school with, or in business with, just so I have an understanding or synopsis of what it is that you're doing.
Yeah, so I'm working as an electrician for buildings, managing all the electronic machines in there. And I'm for myself, I am trained geomancy, like dowsing, and also did course, as a healer, and I really like this, like the energies of the earth, and how can we like our ancestors putting like big stones on those positive grids and so on, like managing the energies of earth, and I'm also very how do you call it, when you work with your hands, wood, metal, and so on. I'm
All right, so I've got the synopsis for you. So let me help you with a concept for you to begin a regular secular practice. You're talking about geomancy, and you're also an electrician for a building. So that means, as an electrician for a building, maintaining the machines, that you follow the energy lines of the building. It means you're very attuned to that frequency. So what I'd like for you to do is to find a local stone quarry around you that sells local granite, local stone that has some amount of crystal in it. Do you know of any stone quarries around you, around your area?
Yeah, pretty near, just a few kilometers. Yeah.
Okay. So what I want you to find is a slab that's maybe 1 foot wide, 6 inches thick, and a foot. So like something like a 1x1 tile. So it probably weighs about 20, 25 pounds. And you can get them smaller, but the little more weight will help. What I'd like for you to do is to get 4 or 6 of these. And then I want you to go and find an open area where you can lay them out into a pattern. And then you're going to pull your dowsing rods out, or your pendulum, or whatever it is you're going to use for your geomancy. And you're going to pull a compass out. And you're going to compare the compass lines to your geomancy lines. And you're going to align these stones to true north, to true south, to true east, to true west. And you're going to make those as a regular cyclical pattern. So once the grounds that you practice on, you're going to take these stones somewhere else, let's say to a place you like to hike to. And you could set one stone down at the beginning of the trail behind some bushes where no one will see it. And then a kilometer or 2 into the walk, you set a next one down, another kilometer, another one, and so on and so forth until you've done the walk. And then the last one, you're going to either leave there, and then you're going to follow your geomancy lines back. You're going to use your dowsing rods, knowing that you're roughly a kilometer away. You can also use the compass to align your geomancy rods or your dowsing rods. And then bring them back or leave them there and gather more stones. So the more crystal content the granite has in it, the more you'll be able to have 40, 50, 60, or hundreds of these stones spread all around your countryside. And that will give you personal connective ley lines because you've physically been there, physically walked the tracks, physically watched the geomagnetic energies, and then when you return home, you have a due heading bearing of how to tune into that energy and bring that energy to you where you're at. To use that for a greater ritual of healing thyself or someone else.
Okay, so and what is it that you when I point them like in the north direction, and I check them with my dowsing rod, it said like I'm feeling like there's some kind of difference between what it should be and what it is, or what do you mean? Like
there's true magnetic north,
mm-hmm.
and then there's your personal view of north.
Yeah.
Those two things are just as relevant to each other. Neither one is irrelevant. This is to help you get your true north bearings, and so that when you're aligned to true north, the greater frequency of you can be aligned through the dowsing rods or through your geomancy process. And then aligning to due south, what is your mental innate heading of south versus due south, due east and due west, southeast, northeast. Get yourself aligned to all the compass bearings as a dead reckoning setting using your geomancy, and an actual recorded record setting with your compass. Until such a time you innately know north, south, east, and west, and some of the subtle degrees. And placing these stones out 20, 30, 50 yards away from you gives you a greater understanding, because heading and bearing over hundreds of kilometers, you want to put those stones further away from you. And then your mind will be able to travel to those stones and bring energy back to you. Like it's like sending out a long extension cord, and that you can plug into at any time.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds something I'm. Yeah, that I think that's also helping me to get out more into nature, and I like experimenting with things.
Do you have at least any sacred buildings or sites that are around you? Any big stone buildings that were made in ancient days?
You mean like ancient days, like?
Yeah, like Egypt, England's got Stonehenge. France has got the fairy stones. I mean, marker stones. Are there any? I mean, they're spread all throughout Europe.
Oh, not so much here, but I know. I mean, I live near Karlsruhe, and there are supposed to be just quite some ley lines crossing there.
Well, those you want to take adventures to and lay stones out over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's something that came to mind that I think it's no coincidence maybe that I live here near those lines.
It's not. It's not a coincidence.
Yeah, it's. I mean, for me, it's right now. I'm very much in those roller coaster in my life where sometimes I'm at such a high and I can get so many informations around me. And right now I'm more in these days more in a low, and I maybe do you know? Do you see something like do you have some advice, like when you're looking at me or feeling my energy, like what kind of advice do you have for me?
So what does your diet consist of? It's first advice.
My diet, I mean, today I had not so a good diet, but normally I'm pretty much vegan, and I'm
What are you doing for
quite some cleanings and so on.
Your body is not digesting protein, and I will almost say you're at the level of being anemic.
So
I'm going to catch a lot of feedback and a lot of flack for this, but you're one of those people that a vegan diet is not always good for. You maybe only be able to sustain it 4 to 6 months out of the year before you put yourself where you're at now, where the value of calories is you're burning more calories than it's bringing in.
Okay, because I was always very skinny, and I never had, even when I was eating meat and dairy products and so on, I never was able to gain weight.
Because your internal intestinal tract is completely off. You're asking about the advice, and the first thing is your diet. And the second thing is you need to go on a full round of colon cleansing. You are not well enough to do fasting. Fasting will be the worst thing for you to do right now. You need to see yourself as, again, I'm going to catch a lot of flack for this, but this is the truth of the truth. You are 2 steps away from being a starving Ethiopian.
Okay.
In your body. 2 steps away. So the next step is kidney failure, so on and so forth. So you'll start to have major issues. You need to start consuming food in large volumes, even if that means putting on fat. Uh-huh. So you need to pick up the pasta. You need to pick up the meat sauce. You need to pick up the fish. You need the tuna. You need a minimum of 40 grams of protein every day. and you are not going to be able to get it the way your gut health is right now. If you were in a much healthier state, you could maintain the vegan diet with a proper probiotic and proper flora and fauna in your gut. Right now, you are not even digesting the majority of food that you eat. About 80% of it you crap out with nutrients still left in it.
And so the is it because I also was listening to a show from you where you had a caller that has like this from those childhood traumas, like this mucus layer deep inside your gut. Is it something that I also have? That's the reason for it, or?
Yes. So how long have you been generally vegan?
Oh, not so long. I think for 2 years. Yeah, something like this.
So 2 years ago, when you started making the change to food, if you had healed the traumas that were from your childhood and done a full colon cleansing, you would have been able to maintain a more stricter vegan process than you are in right now. What's going on with you is you made the change and didn't take out all the internal trash.
Yeah.
So what I recommend for you as a recipe of wellness is to go. Have you heard of Hulda Clark?
Yes. Mm-hmm. The parasite cleanse.
Yeah. The parasite cleanse, the full colon, kidney, liver cleanse. You need to go on the Hulda Clark Black method. Okay? All the books are available out there. It is a hardcore cleanse, and don't get me wrong, not everyone can follow through with it. And I don't know if you'll be able to follow through with it because you're weak right now. You're very, very weak, and you are risking your health here. So my suggestion is in February, you begin the Hulda Clark method. And between now and February, you got to put on weight. One of those things is peanut butter. Another one of those things is carbs, bacon. Okay? It's not about pastries and that other stuff. That's sugar and crap. You need protein, protein, protein at such a level that you're giving your body more protein than it can ever use to get your body out of survival mode. As long as your internal body structure is in survival mode, you cannot naturally produce the flora, internal fauna that you need. Acidophilus won't be enough. Internal probiotics won't be enough. So what you want to do is increase your volume of food very much, but during this time, you're going to have to find some form of stool softening process, whether you're going to choose to use medical stool softeners, fennel teas, those other things that will prepare you in 45, 50 days for the Hulda Clark method, the black method. You need to be strong for this, and you need to assist the body by having some form of stool softener so you can get 20% of some of the volume out before you actually go and crap up 5 thunderstorms. Okay? And the next thing is your dreaming world is going to radically change once you start changing your diet and you start having bowel movements that can absorb the full kidney, liver, and gallbladder dumps. Now, one of the things that is a big myth to the vegan industry is that your vegetable matter will absorb all of the toxins. That's actually bullshit. So the vegetables need to be broken down so they act like sponges. When you are spending more calories to digest something than the calories that it gives you, it is not broken down all the way, is not absorbing those high amounts of toxins like the propaganda says. Your internal gut health needs to change. So there are a series of probiotics that are out there that you can get that's very potent ones. Just go on Amazon or go to your local health shop and find the strongest probiotic or the one that has 12 different kinds of acidophilus colonies, and you start taking that ahead of time, 45 days ahead of time. All the little teas that you can research that act as stool softener, or just take the stool softener. You need to begin to increase your volume, Now, the next thing here is you have a tremendous amount of, let's just say, energy that's built up under your shoulders, under your shoulder blades, in the backs of your elbows, and the backs of your knee. Are you retaining a lot of family stress? Have you not forgiven family members?
Yeah, it's one of the biggest topics in my life was with my father, and the way they had the marriage, because they should have they should have split up, because my father had another woman, but they didn't split up because he didn't want. I mean, it's not because he didn't want to have us grown up with two women, and so it was a very strange family construct, and I was very I only realized a few months ago that I had some traumas with that, and that it's still affecting me.
So, have you used any of the contract revocations?
I used some, and I also used the one when you have like rage, because I felt this was also something that I had a lot of rage that I didn't get out. Yeah, but for me it's it's a little bit hard to read.
Is it because of the language barrier?
Translate it into German for me, so that it's that I
So
can.
why don't you try translating them to your own language? Now, one of the things that I encourage everyone to do is to add their own words. And this is for any out-of-country personalities or people that are out there. So do your best to try to translate it into your own language. It will go a long way at making fluid flow. A long, long way. There are certain terms in other languages that have one or two words as opposed to 10 words of English of saying the same thing. German is one of those languages, and Spanish and French are one of those languages where just a few consonants and vowels from one or two words make this giant meaning behind them. You need to begin to use your native language in such a way that you can begin to have the greater process of those revocations in your natural language format.
So this spiritual cord that you're referring, is it like how can you describe it like with other words? How does this look like? What is this meaning?
So a spiritual cord of equity is, first thing first, equity is not a business term alone. Equity is one of those most ancient terms. It's even in the Bible. And that's when each person has been brought to zero balance, equal, and wholeness. So whatever the transaction is, there's no dangling modifier, no negative thing left over. And a spiritual cord of equity is when you summon all of your ancestors, past, present, and future, who are in alignment with you claiming your power, in the spiritual cord of equity, so that there is a witness to the greater good of you reclaiming your power. So those are the beings that are former versions of yourself, former soul family members, some living soul family members. Think of it a crowd with thousands of people in it, and you are the orator speaking to them, the reclaiming of power, giving them instructions of how to get to balance and equity. So when I use the divine masculine to divine feminine revocations, and you're creating spiritual courts of equity, it's so that the masculine and feminine energies come into equality and balance. And that's the out to claim it system. The words itself bring balance through the act of making sacred, conscious application of the sacred. Bringing meaning to it is your part of the job. Bringing visualization to saying, here are my ancestors. I may not know who they all are, but I do know that I'm bringing the good ones in, the ones that will hear my reclaiming of power and join me in this cord of equity to create the greater strength of unity for all beings who are reclaiming their power.
Yeah, thank you. Now I have a good picture in my mind and know how to translate it.
Great. I've got to move on to the next caller. We've got like 25 people that are waiting here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for calling in.
Yeah, thank you also very much, Andrew, and for taking your time.
And if anyone's looking to have a one-on-one session, please go to the website andrewbartzis.com and go to the contact site, or you can do MPA at galactichistorian.com. All right, Robert, bring on the next caller.
That was a great call. Our next call will be Paul from Atlanta area.
Paul from Atlanta, are you there?
Yes, I am.
How are you doing today, Paul?
Oh, I'm doing great.
So what do you want to talk about today?
Actually, I think probably the best way to put it is my spiritual enlightening journey that I've had for the last 2.5 years.
Okay.
And, I'm not a very religious or spiritual person in the common context of how people would describe either one of those belief systems. But I've come around to the point where I've got a feeling for a lot of this spirituality kind of thing, although I'm not overboard with it. But in total agreement with a lot of the words.
Okay.
I feel I'm judging this from sovereign state as opposed to, being part of the worldly muck, of mixture of belief systems and stuff. I was very rebellious against people controlling me and religion and stuff growing up. And I grew up in England, so, the religious kind of context there was totally different than it is here from the States. And anyway, over the last 2.5 years, I've kind of gotten interested in politics and stuff like that. Eventually decided to ditch the TV, to walk away from all the hubbub there and kind of limit my news access on the internet. But I seem like I've gotten to the point where I'm lacking a lot in motivation.
Okay. So what does spirituality mean to you?
More along the lines of truth.
Okay. What does prayer mean to you?
All you're doing is making an affirmation or statement of something that you wish or desire to change or improve.
That sounds like a dictionary definition. What is your definition of your prayers?
I'd still say I went by the dictionary definition. If I have a problem in life, I tend to acknowledge the fact that it exists.
Okay.
And then I.
Do you have a problem with prayer?
The answer's coming. Yeah.
Where did your problem with prayer begin?
I don't remember too much of my childhood from up to the age of 7. I say I don't remember any of it. At 7, my parents got religiously involved and kind of thrust it down our throats. And that was probably the point that I would have any rejection as to organized religion.
So you are still dealing with the childhood trauma of prayer being forced down your throat. This is why your journey is in stagnation. Prayer is a process of finding strength, wisdom, and knowingness from the internal and eternal being you know you are. You know you're more than you've heard, read, or studied. Prayer is the same thing. It's knowing that you're more than you've heard, read, or studied. Prayer is a way to make higher frequency friendships with the universal source working through all of us. Prayer doesn't need a religion or an esoteric system. Prayer can be no words or thousands of words. Prayer can be artwork, and prayer can be a guitar. Prayer is a form of gratitude and love expressed from the divine co-creative self, manifesting your personal sacred life walk that does have known and unknown factors. Prayer is a process of making the unknown known by using prayer to claim power, to share power, to be communal with all that is, was, or ever will be. It all depends on the scale and size in which you need to think, heart-spaced awareness. That is prayer. And that is what you need to discover, your power of prayer, separate of whatever religious systems are out there.
Okay. I mean, I have my ritual of walking out in nature.
Sure, but that isn't really a defined system of prayer, is it?
No.
It's still you walking in nature. Is it really you making an intensified, disciplined, sacred moment? That's the other thing about prayer. Prayer in many of the big religion is, oh, Dominus Ominus, this. Okay? That is still an out loud name it to claim it system, but it's externalized. You need to internalize your external prayers about yourself, praying for your own goodness, your own healing, so that you can walk a balanced path. See with hindsight and foresight in the moments of now, asking your guides and guardians to be in equal co-creation with you. Prayer is also a state of being when you are in heart space awareness.
I'm sure glad we can go back and go back through the recordings of this. That's a lot to absorb.
So another thing for you to understand is another damage that you took from spirituality being forced down your throat is it was a hierarchical system that didn't include everyone else. That's why you went to politics and law and all that other stuff. You knew there was injustice out there.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm very much for the underperson, and taking care of people and trying to find resolution in people's disputes and stuff like that.
What do you do as a job?
I'm unemployed at the moment.
What have you done in the past?
Well, for the last 17 years, I was working as a mechanic that did more electrical kind of diagnostic and programming stuff. But I did it more explicitly for the insurance agencies. And
is that for the car industry or commercial business?
In the car industry.
Okay, in the car industry. So is it fair to say you saw a lot of wrecked cars?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I have a tremendous amount of experience with insurance agents that see wrecked cars. And believe it or not, every wrecked car you've ever seen, you've absorbed a tremendous amount of negative energy because every car accident leaves a tear in the fabric of reality of the car. So in those 17 years, it's fair to say you see 1,000 wrecked cars a year?
Yep.
Okay, so 17,000 tears of reality are existing in your frequency right now. This is the other reason you're stuck. You need to let go of the energy of the job, literally the energy of the job. It is important for you to take this time in Atlanta, Georgia, to go and find a park or someplace where you can have an outdoor fire, maybe a campsite or something, that you've got some level of privacy, and that you bring your story of your job, every car accident you can think of, and you make what's called a cutting of the cords ceremony. I am no longer witnessing the terrible accidents that others have happened, the deaths that occurred in those cars, the little changes in life, the maimings and mutilations. All those are still stuck in your frequency. You learn about prayer and letting go of the past, meaning the 17,000 tears in reality that you saw. Not only will you find motivation, you will discover that the stagnation itself was simply not acknowledging all the damage you did see on a subtle seen layer. Because every damaged car you knew if somebody lived or died or was maimed, correct?
Yeah. Very much so.
How many of those 17,000 accidents did people die in? Take a guess.
They're probably not very high at 50.
50? That's 50 more deaths in your life than you've had from aunts and uncles dying. Okay? How many people lost arms and legs or were, damaged for the rest of their life? Backs, heads, face.
Yeah,
Let's say
that had
20%?
75% of that 17,000. That's
Yeah,
a very
quite
high
big.
number.
Those are the things you're removing from your frequency. That's the type of prayer you got to begin with. The ritual, cyclical, letting go. Have you seen the shaman's death on the front of the website?
Yes, I have.
That is one that will help you open the prayer of letting go of the old shells. Okay?
Yeah.
If you have any old paperwork that you're ready to get rid of, you can symbolically burn that as part of the cutting of the cord ceremony. Now, what is it that you want to do with your life going forward?
That's a very good question. Guess I'm out there looking for the inspiration. I'm hanging on to some of the equipment that I had while I was working, and I'm getting to the point where I need to sell it to keep on living.
What kind of equipment?
Just electronic scanners and.
So stuff that connects to the cars and talks to the brain and the computer and all that other stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, I get what you're saying. I give you two choices here. And there's more than two choices. These are just two choices for you to contemplate. The first one is each and every one of those pieces of tools and stuff represents the old you, the old way, and the new you can still use those tools. It's how you change the relationship to the job. Okay? Can you do your job as an independent auditor?
What do you mean by an auditor?
So there are times that companies who have big fleets of car will hire their own internal adjuster who will negotiate with the insurance companies. And you can offer this service as a consultant-based process. There are trucking companies that have 5,000 trucks. And since you're in Atlanta, you have the 75 goes right through you. All those other roads go right through you. You just find those companies that have hundreds of vehicles and say, I'll be your advocate to battle the insurance company. I know them better than anyone else.
That's a possibility. I did look into that quite a few years ago, and it wasn't very viable at that point in time, although
that's because you've got to specialize yourself with those companies that have regular accident processes, which are the trucking companies, which are the transport companies, the taxi companies, the new Uber drivers. Okay. The next part here is letting the job go. If you were to let the job go and sell all the stuff, what would you do?
I'd like to do something that helped other people.
Okay. Well, what is that?
I don't know. This is just something that has happened over the last year or so. Is talking to homeless people and trying to get them, where they're making a step of progress in their life.
I opened my conversation to today's show about making promises. The homeless person that makes the promise, I won't be homeless tomorrow, and a year later they still are. How many of those personalities do you run into dealing with homeless people who don't want help?
I don't know. A lot of them seem like they're worthy of the effort.
Yes. But there's a fine line between worthy of the effort and giving away your core frequency to someone who is on drugs with no intention of stopping.
Yeah,
This is where your personal discernment has to know those true core. This is why, once again, prayer is vital for you. Prayer, 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 prayer. Now I'm going to give you another suggestion. Part of your previous job in assessing the damage, so on and so forth, of what's going on with vehicles, so on, there's a new way to see this. And you can become what I call a spiritual diagnostician. You can go and learn healing classes in a handful of months. Quite literally a handful of months. One of the suggestions for you is cranial sacral therapy. Have you heard me talk about that before?
No, I haven't.
So you can go to a website called upledger.com, upledger.com, and that's the master place to learn and find all you want about cranial sacral therapy. And it is very similar to diagnosing a car. If you have a sphenoid bone out of position, that's the plate around the plastic plate that's around your face and your nose and your orbits and your eyes, that if it's off to the left, that means your jaw's off to the right. That means you don't chew food right, and that means you don't sleep right. That means more than likely you have some form of sleep apnea. You'll discover that learning cranial sacral therapy will show you body mechanics. On top of that, you can learn myofascial release that takes body mechanics to the next level. Just like you are scanning the inside of a computer of a car that's damaged and all the sensors are telling you information, the body's the same thing. You just need to learn how to plug into the body so it tells you what's wrong with it. I very much believe everything you have ever done on the 17,000 plus cars you've worked on can fully apply to you being a hands-on healer who within 6 to 7 months, if you were to truly put the dedication into it, could easily be making $100 to $150 a session. Easy. Because you've already done the diagnostician work 17 plus years. You just must make the change in belief that the car can be the human, and the human can tell me what's wrong with it, even without words. Just like I'm doing with you. Mm-hmm. Intuition, man, intuition. You have intuition that's off the scale and chart because of this job. And you don't even realize how beneficial it can be to you as a healer, a hands-on healer. Another class for you to learn about is called Watsu, W-A-T-S-U. You can Google that, and what you'll discover, that is putting a person in a pool of water. You have a hand over their tailbone and a hand over the back of their neck, and you unravel their spinal column while they're floating on the surface of the water, and you're holding them in place using energy and trigger points. This is very similar to a rebirthing exercise. It is extremely potent, especially on people who are suffering from Alzheimer's, dementia, car accidents, and strokes. Okay.
Now, all of that sounds very interesting.
Okay. The next thing here is there are all sorts of pieces of technology out there that scan the human body. Have you ever heard of these light hand scanners that are out there?
No, I haven't.
So about 15, 18 years ago, a group of companies developed these, basically like a tabletop scanner that you stick your hand in, and it puts light frequencies through your hand. It scans your blood, your DNA, all this other stuff, and it spits out a report of what's wrong with you. Now, chiropractors and homeopaths and naturopaths all over the world use a variety of these things. Some are $5,000 and some are $55,000. I would recommend you researching that and going, maybe I can look at this concept and make it better. Okay? That's you, the person that knows electronics and the work that you have done, how to make things better. The next level here is, at your age, you can still go back to college. You can become a naturopath or a homeopath in a handful of years if you wanted to. And then you're going to be collecting money from patients that are coming in for what reason? They don't want to go see the general practitioner that's going to shove pills down their throat. Are you ready to make the leap?
I am definitely very interested in this homeopathic kind of situation and see a need for it. I'm not motivated by the money aspect of it, but the
money is key for exchange, though. The thing to understand with healers, if you are not charging anything, there is no real exchange for value, and it's not really going to do the healing as for those that have an exchange for value. Long term, you still need to earn something for what you're doing.
Yeah.
This is why so many people who want to give away to the homeless shelters and into this and that find themselves giving away their core frequencies, which ultimately makes them zealots and martyrs. Because it isn't about a month, it's a year into it. It's 5 years into giving, and never really getting anything back. Would you have done your job? Would you have done your job for 17 years if it never paid you $1?
No.
No, you wouldn't have. Would you have done your job if it paid you 1/4 your total salary each year?
No.
No, you wouldn't have. The same thing applies to being a healer. Same thing applies to being a healer. Now, the next thing for you to understand here is we talked about stagnation. We talked about moving forward, a variety of healing classes for you to learn. There are other things you can learn. The first caller talked about geomancy. Have you ever heard about that?
Yeah.
That's something you would be incredibly good at. But that would be a personal spiritual hobby. It's not something you would really turn into a job. That's something you would take long into your retirement and have great joy and happiness out of. Will it apply to a healing scenario? Sure. If you're going to take the additional healing classes and then merge your geomancy concepts with healing, absolutely it has great benefits to being a healer.
That makes sense.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you once again, what is it that you really want to do going forward? And I have a feeling you don't actually know what it is.
No, I don't.
Okay. How long has it been since you actually have known what you want to do? Years? Decades?
5 years.
Okay. You really need to spend a couple hard days in contemplation and engage hindsight of why haven't I been exploring what it is that I want to do? There's a journeyer inside you and an explorer inside you who wants to go see the pyramids, the temples in India, and all these other wonderful places out there. But something's locked you in place for 5 years, not giving yourself that potentiality.
I definitely have that yearning to go and see the sacred sites.
You said you do or you don't?
I do.
Yeah, I knew it. Okay. What stopped you?
I don't know, the lack of work, I guess, but then that's literally myself.
Okay. Yourself.
Yeah.
This is why contemplation is important. So you can gauge hindsight about why you said no in the past and what it takes to say no and to say yes in the now. That I'm going to put aside the money and take a trip and go. I'm going to set a deadline March, April, May, June next year, I'm going to go. Nothing's going to stop me. I'll work my ass off, whatever I need to do. Like you did when you were in your 20s and 30s.
Yeah, I guess my evaluation there is along the lines of, since I don't have really anything to show for it, but
yes, you.
I spent
Yes, you.
all that time
Yes,
working.
Don't sell yourself short. Yeah. Never sell yourself short. You cannot beat yourself up about the past. You accept it for what it is, and you move on. Take out the charge. Take out the polarity. Okay? Now, what does your diet consist of?
Pretty much whole foods. I don't eat meat every day, but
Okay.
I do try to get a fair amount of protein. But I cook everything myself and try to go organic.
Okay, that's wonderful. Are you certain you're getting your 40 grams of protein a day?
I do keep a log of everything, and I need to lose some weight. So, and I've found that the combination there is about 100 grams of protein a day, which means I need to step it up.
Yeah, you need to step it up. Got to cut down the sugars, the fats, and the drinks, and go into the protein drink. Get yourself into ketosis. So the weight's going to fly off of you. Now, do you have any medical issues that's been standing out?
No, I lost 65 pounds 2.5 years ago, and kind of got healthy. Got rid of all the stuff that's been ailing me. So I wouldn't swap the last 2.5 years for anything, although it hasn't been productive. Health-wise, it's changed me completely.
But it did give you the ability to live a good life. It wasn't a loss. It's what you needed to do to take discipline to the next level to lose the weight. Yeah. So my next suggestion for you is similar to the other caller. You also need to go and look at the Hulda Clark Black method. Are you familiar with Hulda Clark?
No. But
so she was a writer in the 70s, 80s, and 90s about gut health, and she discovered amazing things about gut parasites, gut health, the liver, the kidney, the dumping of the toxins, so on and so forth. So you could just type in Hulda, Hulda, Clark, Clarck, and you'll find out dozens and dozens and thousands of articles and websites about her. Put an honest 2 or 3 hours of research into Hulda Clark, the Black Method. And what you'll discover, it's a 30-day full-on massive colon cleanse, parasite cleanse. Everything that could possibly be in the intestinal tract will be shit out and started over. And that's what you need, a clean slate internally. There, stagnation will end. There, and combined with beginning a prayer system, your very own creation, separate of what was enforced on you as a childhood from the early religions. Define that happy medium of creating friendships and companionships with the unseen world through your prayers. Use the union and communion consciousness strike. Use the masculine and divine feminine. And when you're ready to sign up for the course, there's a 6-week course there that'll train you from the very beginning all the way up to the peak high-frequency beings who want to learn how the Akashic Record works. And for those that complete the course and want to go to the next level, I offer a mentorship, a year-long mentorship to take you on your mystical journey. I do these for specific reasons. If you do the hard work on your own, the mentorship is easy because it's about structure and understanding the repetition creates illumination and those micro subjects in between illumination to learn about what entanglement traps are, what enlightenment traps are, how to create a system that isn't rigid but supple, with your ability to change and modify, learning the techniques so that the Akashic Record is available to you at any moment, learning what time and no time feels like as the daily practitioner. Just like you did 17 years of job, you knew there was going to be a crash car every day you went in. Vice versa, when you are living the mystical life daily, there's a mystical experience waiting for you every day, and all you got to do is be aware enough to see it, feel it, and understand it for what it is. From the moment you awaken, the mystical is there. Even while you're asleep, the mystical is there. That's why we have a dream world. It's a matter of seeing it, acknowledging it, and not distorting it into a coincidence or a quinkadink. Saying, Spirit is at work around here. Wow. Thank you, Spirit, for bringing me these synchronicities. It's a lot for you to chew on, man.
I definitely feel a physical change about the scenario here.
So the last thing I want you to contemplate, we've already talked about you doing the vacation somewhere. When you return from that vacation, what are you going to do? First, you got to let yourself dream about the vacation. And then you got to think, well, I'm going to go do this. What am I going to do when I come home? You have a whole new life ahead of you if you just allow yourself to dream big again, daydream again. Work has taken that ability for you to daydream about your future. Daydreaming is not mental masturbation all the time. Sometimes daydreaming is what brings our dreams to life. And that's what you need. Including the colon cleanse. You need to be able to daydream and wax poetically of what the hell you want to do, even if it's completely unattainable. Allow yourself to visualize yourself making a spaceship or traveling to Mars or going to every sacred site in the world. Dream big. It's your legacy.
Yes, I love figuring out the way things work. And when you said, like building a spaceship, that resonates with me.
Okay. You do it in your mind. You can do it out of balsa wood. Heck, you could make a full life creation of one if you wanted, with all the bells and whistles in it, just like they do for Star Wars. They make full-size ships for those movies. And then maybe you sell it on eBay, and that's the job for the rest of your life. Instead of building a muscle car once a year and selling it in your retirement, you build a wooden spaceship, paint it, and sell it on eBay for 10 grand, 50 grand, whatever, as a prop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I want you to go on YouTube and type in DIY Millennium Falcon. And for anyone that's out there, what you'll see is these videos of these people who made a full-size Millennium Falcon out of plywood. 17 meters wide in their backyard. It looks exactly like it. And that's their outdoor bachelor pad now. Do you want a spaceship as your outdoor bachelor pad that's got the jacuzzi and all that stuff in there?
Yeah, that sounds along my mindset.
Then daydream it, man. Draw it out. Put some plans on it. Maybe talk to an architect at a bar one day. Dream. Dream big. All right, man. I must let you go and move on to my next caller. You were really cool, man. You're cool. You just got some choices and dreaming to do for yourself.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for your advice.
You're so welcome. Thanks a lot for calling. All right, Robert, we're going to move on to our next caller, and this is going to be our last call for today's show.
Okay, our next caller is, I believe it's Liljana from Alberta.
Susanna from Alberta, are you there?
Yes, hello, Andrew. It's Liliana. Jay's
Liana,
on this
how are
side.
you doing today?
I don't know. I'm so excited. I can't even think straight. Can't believe I'm talking to you.
Well, you have made it through the wheel of callers. So, how did you find out about me?
Well, it was through Alexandra Metters. She had you on her Galactic. I forgot her name of the radio. I don't remember anything right now. My mind is all jumbled. But yeah, I watched your interview with her, and then ever since then, I don't know. Anytime I can get, I spend watching and listening to you. So everything you say literally so resonant that I don't. It's just. I can't even explain. I'm in loss of words. Usually I'm so bubbly I always talk, but now I don't even know what to say.
There you are. Well, let me ask you a question. What is it that you dream big about?
I don't know. Sort of more impossible it is, the more I think it's possible.
Okay. So, do you ever dream about owning your own business?
Probably, yeah, one of them.
What would it be? What kind of business?
Well, something that would help with healing, like some kind of that's the most kind of thing that I've been thinking of, or even just by talking to people and helping them to get out of their own mindset, even though I probably need to help myself to get out of that first. So, but right now it's like it's so complicated. I know how many times you said that we all have a free choice and free will, and we can choose anytime we want, whatever we want. And right now I have my little one just got diagnosed with autoimmune liver disease, and I'm kind of between the rock and a hard place because the route I want to take is fear is not letting me, and maybe I need to stick with the.
You said you have a child that is sick?
Yeah, she's 11, and they just diagnosed her with autoimmune liver disease.
All right. What is her first name and date of birth?
Angelina, and April 5th, 2006.
And she was diagnosed with a form of a liver disease. Is that a terminal?
It's autoimmune liver disease. Basically, her immunity is attacking her liver.
Okay, now I understand it. Let me scan for a second. You're in Alberta. Are you near a big town?
Yes, it's pretty big. It's Calgary. It's
okay, so you have Calgary.
2 million.
So what I will suggest for you is inside Calgary, they have what are called flotation tank facilities. Have you heard me talk about those before?
Yes, I did.
It would be very encouraging for you and your daughter to go and do 3 or 4 flotation tanks just to turn the stress off. Now, the liver disease, I've experienced this before with the liver attacks on a number of other clients. It is going to be a challenge of faith for you and a challenge of faith for your daughter because it is attacking literally what takes toxins out of your body. So it isn't about healthy living right now. It's healthy prayers, being able to share the unity frequency with your daughter. It also means needing to find the newer definitions of love, because it'll be love which conquers this sickness. Children are plastic and have an amazing ability to recover even from the most traumatic of injuries, traumatic of sicknesses. It'll be the love, the human touch. I would very much advise you to go and learn healing skills such as Reiki, quantum healing, quantum touch. even cranial sacral therapy, being able to give your own daughter energetic treatments every day direct to the liver. This is where you can use some of the techniques that are on the front of the web page under the Insights tab. You'll have the shaman's death, the banking government, collective consciousness strike. You can read these inside your mind or out loud while you're holding over her liver. Okay? And at 11, do you need to allow her to see everything? No. If she's curious, let her see it. But learning Reiki, learning some other energy skill set technique, and then using these in an internal format to impress energy into that liver that you are the loving mother with the healing touch.
So it's not really her immunity that we need to worry about, because they're suppressing her immune system now with those heavy medications.
Yep.
And,
yep. It's going to come to a time where that immunity system is going to break down, and she's going to get sick to everything.
Yes, that's what's literally killing me, because the time it's just.
And it'll be love that breaks that ability. Your ability to love in a whole new way. And her ability to love. This is a great lesson just for yourself and your daughter. Okay? The lesson here is love. Even if she passes when she's 20 or 30, as long as you've had intense love, the message has been completed. The lesson has been learned. This is a lesson of love. Okay? You'll still need to listen to the doctors. You'll still need to go on the longer-term healing process. Always seek a second opinion. Are there homeopathic remedies for this? Not really. It'll still come down to the amount of love she can absorb. Okay? There are a handful of homeopaths and allopaths out there that really understand the nature of this disease. It's not exactly common. Okay? Prayer, important for yourself. Breaking the stress that's over you, that, you know, she's ill, she's sick, at any moment this or this can happen. Stop the worry, anxiety, especially for her. This is where the flotation tanks will probably be some of the greatest moments. It'll be like a 2-hour vacation where you can just turn off everything and float in that water. And that heavy amount of salt water will just pull and pull and pull toxins and take some of the stress off of the liver.
That's what I was going to say. I just can't turn that worry and stressful, fearful worry that I can't get out of my system.
You've got to start transmuting fear and worry into love. And then you do that starting with the float tank. And the next part is you need to begin prayers, just like the caller before you. You need an intense relationship to your own unseen prayer-based world. I would very much advise you to look at all the free material I have out for the online course. There's the heart meditation, the shaman's death, and the sanctuary for all souls. Begin to heavily practice those 3 for yourself. And if you want to go to the next level, the course is waiting there for you. There are 15 types of teachings out there that are available for free, but only you can practice them, only you can put your signature frequency in them, and only you can have experiences from them.
This individual and job and everything. I'm thinking about taking maybe a long-term time off without pay from work, so I can dedicate more time to.
So what kind of job do you do right now?
I work as an admin supporter for children's services for the government of Alberta.
Okay. So you would have to take leave without pay from that job, correct?
Well, yeah, even if I do, it wouldn't be big of an issue, I guess, because I was off for like last month. Doctor gave me a note, but I feel guilty taking that, because I just wanted to make her proper meals and take her to school and pick her up and stuff like that.
Nothing wrong with that, and don't feel guilty for that.
Okay.
There are other jobs that you can get that are online-based jobs that can keep you at home. You just got to get out there and look for them. My piece of advice to you is you're in a big city like Calgary, there are headhunters out there that will pick you up fast and make sure you find a job that you can work from home. With all the admin skills you've already got built in, that some business around the world is going to need your skill set and going to love the time zone that you're in as it fits what they need for whatever's going on their ships.
Yeah, so basically love, love, love. I knew it's deep down. I just kept telling everybody, please just pray. Whoever says, what can I do, what can I do? I'm like, just pray, 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 because I do believe in prayer, but
You also got to pray for yourself, honey. It's not just about prayers for your daughter. It's prayers for your strength, your wellness, your inner balance, so you can be strong for your daughter. If you fall apart, what happens to her? You need your strength, your wellness, so you can be strength and wellness for your daughter. You need to call upon your allies and support, brothers and sisters, aunties and uncles, friends and family. Say, I need help.
But I'm not sure what they really can do. There's nothing much.
They can cook a meal, okay? One less meal a week for you is one less meal you don't have to cook and clean, and you have more time with your daughter to have long-lasting memories. Okay? They don't need to do your laundry and stuff like that just by cooking a meal that has love in it. Okay?
She has been asking, Mom, can you come sit down with me and watch this cartoon or something like that, or some show or something?
Right. And there's got to be friends and family that you can call on so you can have that time with your daughter.
Yeah, definitely.
Got to call upon those that can give you the aid and support. Okay? Call out to the friends and family. Someone needs an administrator, some business somewhere that you can do the work part-time or from your home so you're with your daughter. Put the call out to the community.
And even if I take some few months off without pay, it won't be so desperate, terrible.
Yeah, but then you've got to start again. Yeah. And that means you're going to be away from your daughter long periods of time just to make up the 2 months that you were away from work. See what I'm saying? The startup, and once again, is what's going to kill you. Going back to work, and the worry's going to start again when you're back at work. My daughter's home alone, and why am I not with her? I just had 2 beautiful months with her.
I understand. Okay.
Can you speak right into the phone, darling?
Yeah, I will try to. My phone is not really good anyway, so... So another question I had for you is, I have an older one. She is 14, and just out of the blue, she started saying she wants to be a boy. I'm not sure what that's about. I would understand if she did that from the day one, or but now suddenly it's just some girly girl that never wanted pants, always dresses, long hair. Now she's the other way. So I'm not sure if I should be worried about that.
I think you need to encourage it. I think you have one daughter that's ill in one way and another daughter that came in to be somebody else but ultimately ended up a girl. And now at her age, 14, is going, why am I born this way? There are many people in the transgender community that have been lived through this. There are people listening right now that can identify with your daughter. Encourage it. Don't resist it, because she had the heart to tell you what is truly going on in her soul. And you sit her down and say, if this is truly your choice, I support it with love. But I want to understand what you feel. Please share with me. I am not denying who you are or what your choices are. But truly share with me so my soul can understand you growing, so I know how to help you, the girl who wants to be a man.
Okay. So there's nothing wrong with supporting and taking her to a doctor and, professional advice and stuff.
No, I don't think. I think that'll do more harm and damage than it will do if you sitting down and say, I love you and I choose and respect your choices, but please share with me what's going inside. You will make a long-standing relationship where that girl who may be a man in the future will always have a relationship with his mother. It won't be broken by you sending her to a doctor who's going to fill her full of pills.
Yeah, that's what she wants. She wants to start taking some kind of hormones and therapy. And
yes, let her encourage it. Encourage it. You will only damage your relationship if you don't. And by the time she's 19, she'll be out of your life if you don't.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, darling. You've got a lot to think about here. I very much suggest for you to go onto the webpage, look at the contract revocations, get a hold of the website if you don't already have the Sanctuary for All Souls, the Advanced Heart Meditation. And if you want, sign up for the course. Share it with your two daughters as part of a growing experience for each other.
I probably will, and most probably. So anything else you can tell me about me or anything, like, it's almost like
It's about you now, darling. It's about you. You've got two children who need the love of their mother. And the challenge here for you in the spiritual contracts, what more can I do to love them? Well, how more effective can I be in my love? And that'll be through increasing your connection to your heart, your spirit, your prayers, your sacred daily practice, so that the fullness of your spirit is there when one of the daughter goes, Mom, I don't feel well, I need your help. And you're able to be there with a lightning stroke of pure mom energy.
Okay. Because, all right. Yeah, I know completely what you mean. And,
okay. I told you earlier about the flotation tanks. You need that just as much as your younger daughter. If you break down, who's there for them? So instead of taking a month or 2 months off of work, take 4 weeks off of work. Okay? Find the flotation place. Go and do 1 or 2 a week. Go and get body massages for yourself and your daughters. You need to work just as much as they do. Nurture yourself. Make that month off about nurturing. Okay? And put the call out to friends and family so that you can find a job and work from home. Go and sit down with your boss and say, I need to be able to work from home. Is there something that can be done? In many of these government jobs, they may be transferred to another department, so on and so forth, or they'll just accept it. You can negotiate with them. You just got to try.
Okay. Oh, gosh. All right. Because it was really in a good place prior to this, and everything was going just wonderful. It was heaven. And then suddenly it started hitting from each and every side, and I just literally, for the last month, I was in complete.
Okay. That's why you need to rest, recover, and regenerate. That's why I once again say pick up the daily practice. Go and use all the free material. And if you want to jump to the next level, the course is waiting there for you. Daily practice, expanding your love, expanding your awareness, so you can be present to be a mom.
I just can't stop but feeling that I did something wrong because I took off. I quit my job to be with them when they were little.
You didn't do anything wrong. Anything. That is just guilt.
I covered too much, or maybe I over overprotective. Maybe I did too much, but I don't regret it. I spent every minute of my time. I did everything of my just to be with them, to be.
Stop beating yourself up. Okay? That's your first round of prayers. How do you learn to stop beating yourself up in prayers? Here's an example. I, as this human being now, in prayer format, begin to release myself of self-beating and self-torturing. I take away shame, blame, and guilt, and I replace it with heart-spaced awareness about the truth of what went on. I accept the truth for what it is, and I move on, not in charge and polarity, but in prayer for the self and the whole. With the power and conviction of the mother, with 2 daughters in great need, I use this prayer format in the moment of now to expand my consciousness and bring in higher frequency. It's as simple as that. Daily.
Yeah, I do read your relocation. I printed them out. I carry them with me. Whenever I have a minute, I read them loud. I'm alone. Nobody thinking that I'm crazy. And it was all really good and wonderful until just now, and I lost the will for everything.
This next challenge of love has come to you. This is challenging on the scale and size, the volume you can have unconditional love without strings or motives attached to it. Pureness of unconditional love. Just like they were in a baby when they came out of your womb and they were holding them and they were pure innocence.
So anything you can tell me about me, like really, like what to help me?
For you, darling, it is about prayer and regeneration. If you break down, who's going to help them? You need to get body work. You need to see the float tank. You need to go see the cranial sacral workers. You need to get them deep tissue massages. You need to work on yourself or the car is going to break down. This isn't biting the bullet and doing it. It's doing it out of love for yourself so you're going to be present for your daughters. I'd say next week, if you can book 2 floats and 2 deep tissue massages, by the end of the week, you are going to have a totally different view about what the next week could offer you. And the same thing the next week, 2 cranial sacral sessions, followed up by 2 more float tanks. You're going to have a whole new way of being able to express your love because the anxiety and stress is going to be reduced 50%.
Okay, we'll try to do all 3 of us then.
Yes, and they sell block things for these flotation centers. You can get them down to extremely cheap when you're buying them for 3 at a time. Same thing with massages. Oftentimes these float centers offer massage at the same time. You're at the just do it action mode for self-healing and self-nurturing at a new layer. And it's going to uncover a closeness in the family. The daughter that's having the transgender issues, encourage her to follow through with it. Do what it needs to be done. Okay? She's 14. It won't be until she's 18 that she can actually follow through with it. And then it's going to be cost. And just like every other 18-year-old that's in the transgender community out there, until they can figure out the cost, they stay stuck in the middle. That's where your daughter's going. That's why I'm saying encourage it now. So she truly understands that the journey on it is still going to be cost. It's still going to be who's going to cover it and how do you recover from it and then grow on as the new being.
I did try talking to her, but she just, you don't understand, and she just gets upset, and we don't get nowhere. She thinks she can start taking hormones right now, and
well, that's why you take her to a doctor and encourage her to tell the doctor you want the hormone therapy. Don't resist it. She's going to have a totally different relationship, and almost a what the fuck thing's going to go on in her brain. You're encouraging it because then the doctor gets to tell her the truth and the facts. You can't actually have the sex change until you're 18, and then who the fuck's going to pay for it? The doctors aren't. The state's not. That's the truth of this world. But she can be on the right hormone therapy that makes her feel right in her body.
I don't know. I was just kind of, my head was telling me that she's mistaken, and I don't know. My heart and my head are not in sync with this situation, so I don't.
It's because you're worrying about your other daughter, and she's not mistaken. She's not mistaken. She was meant to be a he and recognizes it in her soul and is crying out for someone to acknowledge it too. And the second you go, daughter, I love you and I accept your choice, I'll go to the doctor and encourage it. Let's go on this journey together.
Okay.
You say those words to her, let's go on this journey together. You will change your relationship with her.
Well, it's pretty good right now, and her father is pretty okay with everything, and I was too until the younger ones started getting sick. Well, and then everything kind of flips me upside down. But I was okay with, the older ones. And then now I can't deal with both at the same time.
All right, darling, I must let you go. I must end the show now. But you are a special caller, and a lot of people have learned a lot of things from you today. You are a teacher today. A teacher to a whole bunch of other moms and dads who are facing the same thing with a sick child. Or another child that's going through their trials and tribulations. You're going through two at the same time. You are a great and grand teacher. And now it's time for this teacher to get rest and regeneration.
Okay. Well, thank you. I can't even, I don't know. Immense thank you.
You have a great day, darling. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, you too. Thanks a lot. Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks a lot, everyone. This has been a really fun show. Please stop on by the website, andrewbartzis.com. We've got some new things up in the store. We've got a special thing going on right now. If you purchase the course, the online Living the Mystical Life Daily course, you get a free year's membership with it. We encourage those who are ready to take their next New Year's challenge. You can begin your challenge, that you've lived your mystical life daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, and been on the path to greater awareness. Thank you, everyone. We shall be back on the next adventure into reality. Each different bubble of reality is true. A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma. Nudge, nudge, it's the Holy Grail. Improvise. Mysterious. It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.